Sri Lanka's most powerful news brand.
Farming communities in crisis due to lack of fertilizer. Prime Minister speaks of security for former president in the upcoming elections. The water project launched by the government, the 1000 initiative for the Mahabelana Primary School in Alubo Mulla. The railway trade union strike action continues as talks fail. Number of daily turns reduces from 350 to 10.
A very good evening and welcome. This is Prime Time News at 9 on TV1. I'm Ramesh Irugal Bandari, your host for tonight. We are coming to you live from the square, live from the Echelon Square in Colombo, where the Newsfirst Christmas Zone is set up. I'm coming to you live from the Newsfirst Christmas Center at the square. Let's start off with a look at the detailed version of the headlines that you just saw. Now, the security of former President Mahinda Rajapaksa was debated in Parliament today.
There are issues regarding the protection provided to the 5th Executive President of Sri Lanka, Mahinda Rajapaksa. We want to know whether the request to provide him with a protective detail from the Quick Response Force will be approved.
The current security detail of President Mahinda Rajapaksa has 154 officers along with vehicles. The detail provided to former President Chandrika Bandaranaike consists of 61 officers. A great amount of officers have been assigned to Mahinda Rajapaksa because of the security threats against him. A request has not been extended to the Ministry of Law in order to increase the security detail of Mahinda Rajapaksa. If a request is made, we will consider it. If there are security threats against him and the intelligence officials are able to confirm them, the government will increase the security detail. We have a special benefit to gain by protecting the former president.
We won't
allow any harm to come to him.
We will see who benefits. You are waiting to win the election. You're also doing the same thing. There is no issue. But you need to hold the election. Even last night there was a conspiracy to delay the election.
Minister Rajitha Senaratne, addressing the UNP Central Colombo Balamandala meeting, shared these views on the former administration.
Take a look at the Bond Commission. When that person was being appointed, I raised the issue in cabinet and I told the Prime Minister not to appoint a rogue. Today, he's a black mark on us all. The other group said they will come into power in 2 years, but nothing happened. They went on tours back then. The chairman of the Tangol Pradesh Sabha raped a woman back then and he was granted bail. Former President Mahinda Rajapaksa attended a meeting in Tangol and after that meeting he took this man along with him in the car. He took a rapist with him. Tajuddin was abducted and beaten with poles until the bones in his legs cracked. The truth is now out in the open. The wife of Pragit Eknalikoda continues to carry the photograph of her husband to court and various meetings demanding her husband be found. Journalist Keith Noah was hanged by his feet and beaten. Gotabaya skimmed off $7.5 million through the MIG deal. Before the truth was exposed in the papers, Lasantha Vikramatunga was assassinated. Rajapaksa remembers this. It is only in your dreams you will establish a government. The Rajapaksas can never ever establish a government again.
A meeting was held at the Elections Commission today to discuss the upcoming local government elections.
The meeting brought together Chairman of the Elections Commission, Mahinda Deshapriya, and General Secretaries representing several parties.
We are not hoping to take over local governments together with the UNP. Our first attempt is to gain power independently. If that attempt fails, we will get together with the leftist parties. No one has a problem with that. We have no objections regarding the JVP joining us. Yes, they had to sign for a couple at a wedding. They held discussions. They are not enemies, are they? We cannot assume anything. I like it. We were committed towards this. As far as I know, neither Mahinda Rajapaksa nor the senior politicians of the party opposed this move. But unfortunately, an immature group of politicians interfered and ruined this. If we consider fraud and corruption, there are allegations against Mahinda Rajapaksa, there are allegations against the United National Party. The current president and the Sri Lanka Freedom Party do not have such allegations. Politicians unite and split. Those are normal. We will win anyway, so it does not matter.
The Sri Lanka Freedom Party submitted its bonds for 3 local government bodies in Panudura, Horana and Beruwala in the Kalathura district under the auspices of Minister of Ports and Shipping Mahinda Samarasinghe. Bonds were deposited for the United National Party in Dehiwala, Mount Lavinia, Mahargama and Boralaskama in the Colombo district. The Janata Vimukti Peramuna deposited bonds for 21 local government bodies in the Kurunegala district. The Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna deposited bonds in several local government bodies in the Vavuniya district today.
If you are just joining us, this is Primetime News at 9 and we are coming to you live from the Echelon Square in Colombo. Well, yesterday Newsfirst brought you details regarding the plight of farmers in the Ampara area because of the lack of fertilizer. Now, what are the developments of this story? Has there been fertilizer provided to the farmers of Ampara and the farmers in other areas? Zulfik Farzan is standing by at the Newsfirst Centre in Colombo too with the details. Zulfik, over to you.
The political fora is abuzz with various topics of discussion, including the need for an election next year. The question lies, is there in fact a need to have an election next year while there are more serious and pressing issues in the country that the people are facing? There was also discussion between factions of a possible merger between the joint opposition and the Sri Lanka Freedom Party. Nevertheless, we never heard anyone, be it from the government or from the opposition, make a single comment with regard to the issues that the people are facing right now, especially the issues that the farming communities are facing. Until today, 5 harvesting seasons have not been cultivated. Despite a small amount of grain being received, that was not sufficient for a full harvest in those areas where paddy fields are in large numbers. If this situation continues and if the next season is also not harvested, there will be a serious shortage of rice in the country. The main reason for the harvesting to be stalled is because of the lack of urea fertilizer. Now, urea fertilizer is used by farmers so that they can have a better harvest and a better crop from their cultivations. Like I said, if this situation continues, if the farmers are not given sufficient amount of urea, there will be no rice for any of us to eat in the coming year, especially when we reach the month of April and May. You might recall how we suffered with the shortage of petrol. Long queues at petrol stations, forcing people to abandon their vehicles and take the walk to their workplaces and school. But this shortage of fertilizer not only affects the farmers, it also affects every single one of us. Because shortage of fertilizer means no proper harvest. No proper harvest means no rice for you and I. Let's have a listen to what the farmers have to say about this situation.
We need fertilizer in 20 days. We don't have money or the fertilizer. If this situation continues, the country will experience a famine. We will have to provide raw paddy to those in parliament. They will only get a beating and not our ballot. There is no fertilizer in the storage facilities or the shops. The farmers don't have money to buy fertilizer. We are promised money, but we never got anything. It's been a month and we have been waiting. We need to cultivate. We have to do that. They tell us not to waste a single plot of land and cultivate as much as possible. But we don't have fertilizer. If we were given the fertilizer, we could have made some compromise. They yell in parliament about the various things they are doing. They have done nothing.
The
crop in the paddy field in which the farmer is walking in now is over a month old. It's been weeks for all these crops as well. There was no fertilizer in the shop as well. We asked the leader to open their eyes. How are you going to form governments, Pradesh Sabhas and opt-in power? Work for the farmer. There are 7 MPs from the Ampara district. They are from the Alliance, the UMP and from Mahinda's faction. The husband and wife are ministers for this district. This is a situation in the district. We will be forced to carry our axes and sickles and other tools with our families and move to the city.
Now, what is the main cause for this issue? During the previous regime, a fertilizer subsidy was given and fertilizer was imported to the country by 2 state-owned companies. However, after the new government came in, that changed and fertilizer was given, which enabled the private sector to also be involved in the importation and distribution of fertilizer. Now, tenders have been called for the fertilizer importation, and now the cabinet has also approved a specific tender which amounts to 72,000 metric tons of urea fertilizer. Now, this is to be imported according to a DA system where the supplier grants 180 days for the payment to be made to him. There were 5 suppliers who came forward in this tender process to provide the urea fertilizer. However, only one was selected. This company is by the name of Jack Agri, which is also in a cabinet paper submitted by the Minister of Agriculture later on, highlighting that they need to be selected. Now, this has also been approved by cabinet. Now, that happened on the 20th of November 2017. Now, on the 24th of November 2017, the procurement committee of the government and the cabinet says there's a documentation error in the previous tender, so it has to be cancelled and they cannot proceed any further. One question is, wasn't this documentation error ever noticed? Let's keep that aside. The importation of 72,000 metric tons of urea fertilizer has been cancelled, and now there's another tender for 36,000 metric tons of urea fertilizer to be imported to the country. We are not sure if this is going to be a spot purchase or any other procedure that is going to be followed. However, urea fertilizer is to be imported from Pakistan. As of late, Pakistan has imported very strict restrictions when exporting urea fertilizer out of their country. Now, officials close to various departments have told us that there have been extensive discussions on this subject between the Pakistani High Commission and the Minister of Finance. Now, if this situation aggravates, like I mentioned before, there will be a shortage of fertilizer that will directly impact the farmers, and they will have a direct impact on their cultivations, and their cultivations will have a direct impact on us. Let's have a listen to what the agriculture organizations set up across the country have to say. Based on what information we have, the government granted permission for a certain company to import fertilizer, but that company has not imported the fertilizer. They are creating a shortage in the country, and the government must be held responsible for that. They are suddenly calling for tenders to import fertilizer. This is how they are trying to skim money. Isn't the government aware there are 2 major harvesting seasons in the country? Why did they create this situation? When there is a sudden purchase, they pave the way for extortion. Then the tender issue arises. This paves the way for them to obtain commissions. If the government is not going to intervene in this respect, we will be compelled to launch a struggle with the farmers and the people. The farmers in this country are in distress and are in dire need of help. Once again, you might remember how the entire country was waiting for the arrival of a petrol ship to make things more easier for us. And now the country is made to wait for a ship carrying urea fertilizer. Now today, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe makes a very interesting statement to Parliament. Now, let me mention this. There are several countries around the world with no proper water resources, but are thriving in their agriculture and agriculture development. They're using the latest technology obtained from various countries in order to meet the demand of consumption by their people, so that no one in those countries will starve. The Prime Minister makes a statement in Parliament, but he does not speak of obtaining technology to build our agricultural industry. What he speaks of is importing rice and coconuts to the country. Sri Lanka was known as the granary of the Eastern world, but today the Prime Minister is saying that we need to import rice and coconuts to the country. He in fact says that he is about to discuss this matter with international lending agencies. Let's have a listen to what the Prime Minister had to say, and also what members from opposing parties had to say about the Prime Minister's statement.
We have granted approval to the Treasury to import rice using institutions like Sathosa and other private entities. We have already made preparations to import 200,000 metric tons of rice. We will have to take these steps until April in order to reduce the prices. The Cabinet also granted approval to deviate from the regular tender process and purchase rice from the private sector if the need arises. We have allowed those engaging in coconut-based industries to import coconut flesh or coconut centers. You cannot import a complete coconut. This will allow the industries to move away from using local coconuts, and this in turn frees these coconuts for the consumers. A committee consisting of a number of ministers' secretaries have been appointed to identify and help affected farmers. The President has taken steps to appoint a ministerial subcommittee comprising of Minister Patali Champika, Susil Premachanta, Anuri Priyadashana and Rauf Hakim has been appointed to conduct a study on effects of inclement weather on farming and to provide recommendations to mitigate these effects. I will be having discussions with the World Bank, the ADB and other related parties regarding the effects of the inclement weather on farming activities. The current Prime Minister will enter the record books as the Prime Minister who made the most amount of empty special statements. Nothing has happened to the country because of these special statements. This government should resign without causing further harm to the people. People are finding hard to live. A kilogram of rice is 120 rupees, a coconut is 140 rupees. The special statement by the Prime Minister today is an admission on part of the government that they are unable to manage the economy through the 2015, 2016 and 2017 years. The people of this country are suffering these ill effects because of the massive economic collapse caused by the bond scam.
Welcome back to News First. This is Primetime News at 9, coming to you live and direct from the News First Christmas Center at the Echelon Square. Continuing with more local news, the Locomotive Operating Engineers Unit, which is currently engaged in a strike action, had a special meeting with Presidential Secretary Austin Fernando today. The discussions ended without a decision, resulting in the train strike continuing for another day.
Discussion held at the Presidential Secretariat saw the participation of the Secretary to the Minister of Transport and Civil Aviation, G.S. Vithanage, as well as the General Manager of Railways, S.M. Abevikrama.
A group of railway trade unions produced a cabinet paper regarding the disparity in salaries in the railway department. That has not received the approval as yet. We have agreed to make a decision in 2 weeks after discussing with the Attorney General.
Convener of the Operation Supervisory Association, which is an affiliate of the Collective of Railway Trade Unions, Lal Arya Ratna said that authorities are yet to pay attention towards salary anomalies of several railway employee categories.
One problem will be solved. There are two other problems here. They do not have a problem regarding the recruitment. The Secretary said another meeting will be called regarding the salary matter.
Members of 8 trade unions extended their support to the ongoing strike action from midnight yesterday. This includes supervisors, station masters as well as controllers. The Department of Railways usually operated 350 train turns on a daily basis. However, due to the strike action, this figure has reduced to 10. The office trains arrived at the Colombo Fort railway station from Kandy, Rambukkana, Polgahawela, Chilav, Gaul, Matara and Avisawela. The railway control room said that all mail trains that are due to leave from Colombo this evening will not be operating.
As per the legalities, we cannot provide what they want. The trade unions that are engaging in the strike spoke to me yesterday and said that they do not want to continue the strike and to provide a solution for it very soon. The problem is among two trade unions. When we try to solve one issue, the other people are trying to get the other one solved. Then we try to solve that issue, the initial group goes against that.
The IMF, or the International Monetary Fund, completed its third review of Sri Lanka's economic performance under the Extended Fund Facility Arrangement.
Completion of the review enables disbursement of about $251.4 million, bringing total disbursement arrangement to around about $759.9 million. Sri Lanka's 3-year extended arrangement was approved on the 3rd of June 2016 in the amount of $1.45 billion. The IMF notes that the government reform program, supported by the IMF, aims to reduce the fiscal deficit, rebuild foreign exchange reserves, and introduce a simpler, more equitable tax system to restore macroeconomic stability and promote inclusive growth. Muchiro Furuzawa, acting chair and deputy managing director, had stated following the disbursement that Sri Lanka's fiscal performance has been satisfactory and all targets until September were met. However, he notes that high debt burden, large cross-financing needs and weak financial performance of state-owned enterprises increases the importance of further fiscal consolidation, adding that timely progress in structural reforms, including tax administration and energy pricing, will support fiscal consolidation.
Interview with News First, Auditor General Gamini Vijay Singha expressed his disappointment with regard to the financial management or fiscal management of the country.
There was a great deal of talk about our fiscal management over the past few decades. There has been a gradual decrease. As the Auditor General, I believe that it has hit rock bottom today. When we consider the audit reports of state institutions, we cannot say one particular institute is free of issues. Like it or not, we have to accept it. There aren't any instances where action is taken against those who have committed crimes.
According to the Export Development Board, merchandise export earnings recorded $9.5 billion during the last 8 months of this year, showing a substantial increase in comparison to $8.6 billion earned last year. The EDB notes that estimates in the services export sector suggest an overall growth of about 5.9% during the first 8 months of the year, bringing total exports to $12.5 billion.
The Export Development Board data reveals that merchandise exports have grown by 10.3% during January to October 2017 compared to the same period last year. Estimates in the services exports sector suggest an overall growth of 5.9% during the first 8 months of the year, bringing total exports to $12.5 billion. Fisheries exports have grown by a substantial 42%, agricultural exports by 18.5% and industrial exports by 5.9%. Earnings from exports to the European Union have increased by 4.1% and exports to USA have increased by 1.5% during the period, while exports to the ASEAN region have grown by 45%.
So we see the growth in tea, spices and fisheries products leading, and textiles have had a steady growth. The GSP Plus has definitely helped the fisheries sector, and it is helping the apparel sector as well. So the GSP Plus is a definite positive for us, and I'm happy to note that the fisheries sector has taken the full advantage of this facility, and I'm sure we can see more positive growth.
More local stories come your way on the other side of this short commercial break. We are coming to you live and direct from the Echelon Square, where the Newsfirst Christmas Center is located. This is Primetime News. Welcome back. Well, Saudi Arabia, or rather the Gammed 1000 Projects Initiative, had another milestone today. Let's take a look.
The students in this school have not had access to clean drinking water for over 6 years. The foundation stone was laid for this project under the Gum at the 1000 Projects initiative on the 7th of last month. The completed water project, sponsored by MAS Bodyline Private Limited, Heart to Heart, was vested with the students of the school today. A special memento was handed over to the Gum at the representatives by MAS Bodyline Private Limited, Heart to Heart, appreciating the work done through the Gum at the 1000 Projects initiative. The sponsors also provided school equipment to all the students at the Mahabellana Primary School.
What did Heart to Heart organization do to earn this money? How did they do it? During the weekends we sold pickle and pens. We bought various types of food and we sold them. We have done this with our own commitment, our own effort. We left our personal lives aside and we worked as a team. The biggest gift we can give this school is the commitment of this team. Even though we found the money, if it wasn't for the Gammada initiative, we would not be able to achieve any of this.
In more local news, a Saudi Arabian business delegation led by Saudi chambers are in Sri Lanka on a fact-finding mission to enhance commercial ties between the two nations.
At the meeting, a memorandum of understanding was exchanged between the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce and the Chamber of the Saudi Council to work in collaboration to enhance commercial ties between the two countries.
The Saudi Arabian potential and what Saudi Arabia is doing with Sri Lanka is not known. So we must start working on this, because there are a lot of advantages for us. Because this is only 5 hours away and they are happy to work with us. And they are now looking at new places, because earlier they had gone to Western world and now they are slowing down a little bit or going there. They are looking for, so they have the potential to invest.
While I think there's a lot of promotion currently going on tourism, infrastructure with the megapolis, Sri Lanka is also known for something else which may be less known in Saudi. The intellectual talent, the ICT talent, information and technology. So these are the sort of skill sets which are available from a small population of 20 million people, but a highly skilled force which is deploying technology and solutions around the world, which may not really be well known in your country, but this is something you could very well make use of, because increasingly this is becoming a global industry from a positioning point of view.
Unfortunately, that's all the news we have for you tonight. But the Newsfirst Christmas Centre continues its operations tonight as well as tomorrow and the day after. We will be here until the 29th of this month with the Newsfirst Christmas Zone. Our sister and brother radio stations, Yes FM and Legends, are also here. So if you are in the vicinity, do pop over and say hi to the members of the Yes, Legends and Newsfirst family, as we will be here until the 29th of this month. In addition, we have a number of fun activities lined up for you, and also I should add that if you want to try your hand at what we are doing here, come over to the Newsfirst Christmas Centre and do a screen test with us and see if you have it what it takes to join Newsfirst. Well, that's it from the Newsfirst Christmas Centre. I'm Ramesh Irugal Bandara. Good night and take care.